Today, without much thought, we clutch in the palm of our hand our handheld device, simply known as the cell phone. With that said, we are too preoccupied and zoned out with our small device, often failing to notice life around us. Nevertheless, the advancements and the convenience of this equipment pave the way for future ideas. Today's technology offers groundbreaking roadmaps for human development and cultural evolution. I can remember not too long ago, the cell phone was only used for receiving and making phone calls. Now it has evolved into a mini computer with a sophisticated camera, recorder, and much more. My video today is about Katherine Johnson, a modest woman from a small town who could have not imagined as a young girl the thought of today's advancements being a manifestation of her own mathematical gifts. Presently, her genius garnered her the honor of being one of the foremothers responsible for our current cell phone, personal laptop computers, and even NASA's flight into space. Let's give this phenomenal lady her flowers by examining her life and legacy in bringing forth modern technology. Creola Catherine Coleman was born to Jolette Roberta and Joshua McKinley Coleman, August 26, 1918 in West Virginia. Catherine was the youngest of 4 children and developed a love for learning very early in life. Her mother, a school teacher, and her father, who worked in the lumberyard, possessed a talent for numbers. They provided all 4 of their children the extra help they needed for successful learning. In her autobiography, titled Reaching for the Moon, she writes, "No matter what I did, I was always finding something to count. The floorboards, the cracks in the sidewalk, the tree as I walked by, the train cars stacked with timber," quote unquote. Despite Catherine and her siblings' exclusion from the nearby all-white schools, which had nice cement paved floors, Catherine and her siblings were not deterred from becoming stellar students. They attended an all-black school farther down the road, which had barren dirt floors. Catherine's teachers and parents had noticed she was a great student all around. She possessed a special gift with numbers. As a result, she was promoted 2 grades ahead of her peers. However, it was a disadvantage that black students did not have an education higher than 8th grade, which was not legally provided for them at that time. At just 10, Catherine's parents rallied behind the child prodigy to attend the local high school in West Virginia. The school Catherine enrolled in happened to be located on the campus of a historically black college, West Virginia State College. She later graduated at the tender age of 14, eventually enrolling in WVSC. Catherine signed up for every math course she could seize. Professors lecturing in chemistry, mathematics noticed the gifted child and offered care and mentoring throughout her college career. Finally, in the year 1937, at the age of 18, Catherine graduated summa cum laude. She was the top 1% in her class. In addition, She received degrees in French and mathematics. It is important to know that Catherine was also a member of the girls' sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha. Catherine was extremely grateful for the support, love, and security she'd received from her parents, teachers, and professional mentors. Therefore, she wanted to pay it forward to future children in her community by teaching at the local schools. Here in the social media world, I've came across a few videos discussing the topic of colorism and how it affects modern culture. However, I found that it is imperative to examine this social phenomenon. There was a privilege being a light-skinned person. Catherine continued to write in her book, Reaching for the Moon. Looking back on things now, it is clear that as a very fair-skinned Negro, my daddy enjoyed some advantages that dark-skinned people didn't, quote unquote. Now, this portion of the video, I kind of wanted to discuss the side notes I have for her story. So basically, I'm giving you a backdrop of Catherine's family, their social station during the Jim Crow era. Kind of give you a little snippet of how they navigated during those difficult times. You know, it was really difficult being a Black person and trying to be prosperous within that time in America. Okay, so I'm going to continue on. Long before her family moved from the country and closer to the city, her father inherited thousands of acres of land and property in West Virginia from his grandfather. Now, this is a part of the side note where I have to slow down because I'm going to kind of do a brief lineage on her father's side. So I'm going to kind of slow this down, and hopefully, you guys will understand and get, what I'm trying to convey here with this part of the side note. It was rumored Catherine's father's enslaved grandmother gave birth to a child whose father was a white army colonel. So I'm going to just link it directly to Catherine. It might come out more clear. So Catherine's great-grandmother was an enslaved woman, and her great-grandfather was a white army colonel. It was the paternal side of Catherine. So the town they moved to from the country was majority white. So the current town they live in, majority white. The previous town or area they moved from the country was also majority white. There's just a few colored people during that time. Somehow her father had white associates. It could have been white distant relatives on his side of the family. Maybe they were kind of made keep this kind of hush-hush. Nobody never talked about it. To pose as the original home buyers, and later Catherine and her whole family would show up and move in after the signing of the deed. So from my research, I learned in certain parts of the states how some financially well-to-do Black families moved in affluent neighborhoods with better schools that had all the resources for their children. Catherine later met a handsome young man named James Goebel. They later got married in the year 1939. Well into her graduate math program, she decided to take a break and focus on her family commitments. Catherine later gave birth to 3 lovely daughters, Jolette, Catherine, and Constance. While enjoying family life being a wife and mother, Catherine managed to gain serious milestones with her career goals. She became the first Black American woman to successfully attend graduate school at West Virginia University. Catherine's progression was a manifestation of the U.S. government moving forward towards integration in local schools. During 1938, the Supreme Court ordered all U.S. states to allow students, Black and white, to attend higher learning, whether it was an all-black college or a white college admitting in black students for the first time. Catherine later landed a career as a research mathematician. In 1953, she joined the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautical Research Team. Later that year, she eventually accepted a job offer with NACA. She was one of a few black women who were hired as mathematicians within the navigation department. Another key point was Catherine's invitation to temporarily assist the all-male flight research team. Catherine's computations were so accurate, the all-male team totally forgot Catherine's completion date there within the division. Hence, her presence remained a part of the all-white team. Catherine's gift with numbers, equations, and knowledge of analytic geometry gained her the nickname human computer. In spite of the culture of bias related to gender and racial prejudice, Catherine's attitude was confident and steadfast. Her skills were unmatched. She asserted herself in spaces no woman has gone before. In fact, Catherine believed she had done the work, so therefore she belongs. In 1958, the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, NACA, was taken over by NASA, which later added digital computers. Gender and racial discrimination continued throughout the program. Women were not allowed to sign their names on reports. There was an incident where one of Catherine's male colleagues advised the higher-ups to allow Catherine's signature on the report since she solely worked on it. Ultimately, Catherine became the first woman to sign her name on a report in her division. All things considered, Catherine became the backup plan for the navigation charts for astronauts due to preparation for future electronic failures. As a result, astronaut John Glenn refused to orbit Earth until Catherine verified the calculations. That being said, Catherine's calculations and trajectory was instrumental in the 1969's Apollo 11 flight to the moon. In addition, 1970's Apollo 13 mission was aborted. However, it was Catherine's backup procedures mentioned earlier aiding in getting the astronauts safely back to Earth. Catherine's reputation and commitment for accuracy became the blueprint for the new emerging technology. In Catherine's latter years, she worked on the Space Shuttle program, the Earth Resource Satellite, and Mission to Mars. Once Catherine retired from her legendary work with NASA, she later spent her time visiting schools across the nation, encouraging students to enter into fields of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, known as STEM. In the year 2015, she was recognized by then President Obama and given the Presidential Medal of Freedom. A year later, she was finally recognized and awarded by NASA and was granted an entire facility named after her, the Katherine G. Johnson Computational Research Facility. We're back at the cafe, and I just ordered a delicious berry and banana smoothie. So let's jump right in. We're going to discuss the final side note, Katherine Johnson's book, Reaching for the Moon, the story. So we're basically, I want to kind of highlight a section of the book where she was discussing an experience her and the women went through with the notion of them not signing their projects or their reports, and the fight that they had to basically experience just to exist and to be a part of the team there in the program. So listen to this. This is pretty heavy. Catherine was the author to the Race to the Moon program, which was pivotal in Americans' history in their space program. Later, the Shuttle project. And then additionally, down the road now, and we even talk about this today, the Mars exploration. So this woman basically, created the blueprint. She laid it out, all the calculations, the measurements, the numbers. She broke it down, and they use her procedures to this day. This woman is pretty heavy. And for them not to allow her and the other women, they didn't have the right to sign their reports. It's pretty mind-blowing. So let's segue over to current. In the year 2015, now Catherine is retired, and she's now an elderly woman, and she was honored the highest accolade that you can get, the Presidential Medal Award. A year later, NASA finally acknowledges Catherine's contributions and genius to the space program. And they awarded her a whole building with her name on it in honor of her, a whole wing on NASA's ground. Amazing. So a few decades later, in the 60s, she was not allowed to put her name on her project that she probably collaborated with or she completed herself. To today, she has a whole, her name is on a whole wing on a NASA building. Mind-blowing. In the year 2020, February 24th, Katherine Johnson passed away at the age of 101. She left behind 3 lovely daughters, family, and a plethora of honors and accolades. In her interview about space travel in 2010, Catherine was best described as humble, ambitious, yet a humorous spirit. She states in an interview, "Everybody was concerned about them getting there. We were concerned about them getting back." So, what are your thoughts on today's story, Women in Technology, the Katherine Johnson story? Have you personally encountered or know of someone who has experienced the situations that were discussed in the side notes of today's video? If so, please leave a comment below and be respectful to our platform. This was my first video I published in these social media streets. If you reached the end of this video and you are listening to me right now, thank you so much. I want to also give you an applause. If you want to hear more biographies and contents from this channel, Womenz Thoughts, please support by clicking the like button and subscribe. Because everyone has a story. See you next time.